I had a prospect that asked me about dimpling copper and brass as part of the work that they do with their other woodworking stuff. So here's how we do it in VCarve. I started VCarve. I did a 12-inch wide piece, roughly 1 inch tall, ½ inch thick. Again, this is a sample of basically a simulation of what he gave me on a movie, and I'll tell it to go. We don't have to actually even do any vectors because there's some texturing built in. Now, if we have vectors drawn in, we can apply textures to them, but we don't need to for what he's doing. Don't want to show his picture because I don't know if it's okay with him, so I wanted to show him this video first. So switch straight to the tool pathing, and we come to textures. And here in the textures, we can have it pick what tool we're going to do. In this case, I'm doing a 1/4 inch ball nose. Start depth is going to be 0. We can play with this as we go. The maximum cut depth is going to be 0.15 or so, whatever depth you want. This was just what I had, and it actually looked very much like the sample that he showed me in the little movie that he sent. Maximum cut length. This is going to determine how long we're going to go. It's going to create a vector before it stops, picks up, and goes somewhere else. So 0.4. The overlap is going to be 30, as much as 30% into a previous vector that it's going to be cutting. And the step over is 1/8 inch roughly. Again, this is just what popped up when I did it. So we're going to do texture, and I'm just going to call it dimpling. Jeez. Okay, dimpling. And then calculate it. And just let it do its magic. Now, that doesn't look like much, but we don't care because it's doing the work on it. So we're going to reset the preview and then preview all. And it's just basically coming in and taking the 1/4 inch ball nose. It's overlapping up to 30%. Length of each individual segment line is up to 0.39, I think we had. And there it is if we look at that in 3D. And that's basically the exact look he gave me. So we're going to come back into it. That's with a 1/4 inch tool. So let's change that to a smaller ball nose. Let's go with an 1/8 inch, which is probably better set up for what he had. We're going to reset the preview, let it regenerate it, and preview all. And there we are. Again, now I may come back in if we see there's some of these areas where we're not cutting all the material. We're not, because we started at 0, and like this area right here, we've got some areas that are going to leave a very thin skin, and we don't want to do that. So what I'm going to do is go back into it and don't start at the material top. I'm going to say I want to go down 50 thousandths. And I can either add that here or not. We'll just see what that does to it. So we'll reset the preview and look at that exact same area. But now we're definitely dropping down into the material and playing with the dimpling. So there's some areas here that I want to do a bigger overlap. So the step over, I'm going to raise the step over a bit. Recalculate, reset the preview, preview all. And that may or may not be the look that we're getting, that we're wanting. It's probably too small. So let's go back with the bigger tool. So back with the 1/4 inch. This now has more of a step over, so there'll be more. There we go. I think that's more the look that he had. A little more random with everything dimpled down, no strings sticking up to the top of the surface. I think that's more the look of what he had in mind when he sent me his drawing. And change that to brass, reset, preview all. And that may be more of an overlap than he wants. But again, it's all definable very quickly. So there we are. There's your setup. Want to save it to the machine? We just go to Save. Pick which toolpath we want to do. Send it to the SmartBench. Save it. I'm just going to save this to a vector job. I'll just save it to my showroom and just call it dimpling G-code. It's saved. It's ready to go to the machine. Now we have Smart Transfer, which is an app that we have created from Yeti tool that I can just drag that folder and or that individual G code file into the Smart Transfer, and it'll send it. Or we could do it with FileZilla. Some of the older customers use that. Okay, some of our other older customers use FileZilla, so we would just take the same thing, save it, and I'm going to save it under 430 Industrial Lane, dimpling, save. I've already saved it, so I'm going to replace it. Yep. And then I would open FileZilla, and there it is. I always hit the right button to refresh, and just take it and drag it over, and it's at the machine before I can get up out of the desk. It's there, ready to run. So, yeah, there's dimpling, and that can be done brass, aluminum, plexiglass material, any other material that you can cut with a router. We can do it with this. So that's a great question. Very simple to do, and you can do all kinds of different patterns very easily, either by creating the vectors or just letting it randomize the output. Very quick, and that's the power of VCarve. Thanks for asking. If you have any questions, Eric Schiller at Yeti SmartBench, 205-871-6618. Thanks.